Tottenham have many problems to solve this summer, but chief among them is what to do with Harry Kane. The club's record goalscorer has just 12 months left on his contract and is not close to signing an extension. So, should Spurs cash in on Kane now or risk losing him for free in a year's time? So let's start with the case for selling Kane, because it's simpler. Obviously, for Tottenham to lose a player of his calibre for free would be a bitter blow. As context, it's also worth noting that Spurs have quietly become ineffective at selling players over recent seasons. Kyle Walker was sold for £50 million in the summer of 2019, Kieran Trippier left 2 years later for nearly £30 million, but since then the departures have been underwhelming and have rarely allowed reinvestment opportunities. In fact, since the 2019 Champions League final, Tottenham have only sold €150 million worth of players, signing an estimated €570 million worth of new players across the same period. Kane will turn 30 in July of 2023, and so his age, combined with that of his contract situation, mean that the apex of his value has been and gone. And yet he remains both a rare player and statistically within his prime. Given the types of clubs that would be interested, it's not unreasonable to think that Daniel Levy would not let Kane leave for less than £100 million. Now, it's unclear whether or not another team would pay that, but it's fair to say that it probably wouldn't make sense for Spurs to sell him for less. If that happened, it would be the biggest sale in the club's history, bigger even than the fee that took Gareth Bale to Real Madrid, and allowing the opportunity for it to go by, given the difficulties of recent years, including the pandemic, the debt associated with the new stadium construction, and the growing likelihood of missing out on Champions League revenue in 23-24, that would be hard to justify. That's especially true given the difficulties that Spurs have had in recent windows trying to sell unwanted members of their squad. In addition to which, Spurs have several areas of weakness within their starting 11. £100 million would go a long way to funding the purchase of a new left-sided centre-back, a goalkeeper, and a creative midfielder. Potentially, rather than spreading those upgrades across several years, Kane's sale would give Tottenham the chance to complete that rebuild within a single window. Perhaps Richarlison showed during the World Cup that he can be a highly effective number 9. Well, they're not similar players, but the Brazilian is already at the club and could be emblematic of a different attacking direction with the need for a direct replacement. Whatever the pros of selling Kane, though, the list of cons is at least equally long. Yes, Richarlison could herald a different attacking direction, but the most goals he's ever scored in a season is 13. In 6 of his 9 full seasons, Kane has scored more than 20 and never fewer than 17. It would be a stretch to replace one with the other. It's also worth questioning the efficiency with which Tottenham would be able to reinvest. The marketplace would be well aware of what Spurs would have to spend, making negotiating for replacements particularly difficult. In addition to which, it's currently uncertain who would lead that recruitment. Former director of football, Fabio Paratici, resigned his position in late April. And so, in addition to appointing a new head coach, welcoming a new CEO in Scott Munn, and identifying transfer targets, Tottenham will also be looking to find Paratici's replacement. With so much upheaval, it hardly seems the time to conduct this sale, or a point in Tottenham's history at which they're best equipped to plan something which promises to be so divisive. Chairman Daniel Levy is under heavy criticism from the club's supporters as it is. Politically, selling Kane would be an extremely dangerous move. Levy, or whomever would be tasked with filling the hole that Kane would leave, would also find themselves in a weak position in the market to replace him. Tottenham won't be offering Champions League football in 23-24. Players like Victor Osimhen, Romelu Lukaku and Lautaro Martinez would have better options in the summer. Tammy Abraham is a former Chelsea player who would also command a vast fee. More modest and achievable options might include Sevilla's Youssef En-Nesyri or RB Leipzig's Andre Silva, but neither is a perfect fit for the current attacking system. Marcus Thuram's contract is due to expire at the end of the season, and he's certainly talented, but he's really more of a wide forward. Being the player to replace Kane in the Tottenham team is a near impossible task, more so for a player who comes from a slightly lower level of the game and with a narrower ability range. That same problem would apply should Spurs opt for a younger player, a project, so to speak, who would have to cope with the inhibiting pressure of replacing an icon. In addition to which, the market in the summer of 2023 seems to offer few obvious options. Lille's Jonathan David seems likely to move to a super club in the summer, and for a very large fee. Benjamin Sesko has already agreed a transfer to Leipzig, And while it's largely expected that Randal Kolo Muani will leave Eintracht Frankfurt for the upcoming window, that's not likely to be for less than 100 million euros and for wages that Spurs will find it hard to match. Exciting high-potential types available for small fees are currently scarce, particularly for wealthy Premier League clubs. Perhaps then the question isn't really whether Tottenham should sell Kane, but whether the advantages of doing so are only theoretical. For instance, the compensation for letting him leave may well be a big fee, but that's only a supporting argument if the club is well equipped to spend that money effectively. Using a big sale to rebuild a team is a common rationale, but it requires a high-performing recruitment department that Spurs don't seem to have currently. It's a question without a correct answer, but it could be argued that Tottenham's best bet is to allow Harry Kane's contract to run down in the hope that his goals and quality allow them to succession plan from a stronger base in a year's time, even if it is with the result of losing him for free.